Hey everyone. I really hope that your school year is off to a great start. Here we are, we're towards the end of September. You're kind of in that groove of like, all right, this is what first semester is going to be like. This is what classes are going to be like. This is what my weeks are going to be like. These are my friend groups. These are my activities. All those things are like really, any shifting that happens at the beginning of your school year, that's all kind of settled down. And by now you should be in a pretty good groove. And I hope that's going well for you. Tonight I want to talk to you about something that kind of hits, my opinion, it hits towards the beginning of school years as you kind of get in those first 6 weeks, is the way that we look around at everybody, and like we look at like what people are wearing, what are people bringing, what are the cool little gadgets that people have, what are the new trending things, who's holding a hydro. Wait, those are old now. It's who's holding a, gosh, I can't even remember the newest thing, because I feel like those drink bottles change every 2 seconds. Stanley, is it a Yeti? Is it not? I don't know. Anyways, I want to tell you that even over the course of my life, I struggle with wanting stuff. You can walk through my house, you can walk through my garage, and I have little hordes of things. And I'm like, yeah, don't touch those things. I've got these fishing poles up on the ceiling, all lined up, and they don't get taken down near often enough. Like even as I'm talking right now, I can think of 2 fishing poles that literally haven't been taken off that rack in probably 2 years. And I think about how we store up over time these hordes of things that for whatever reason are special to us or special. Outside of that, I have this little bowl that's on a shelf that has a couple pocket knives in there that are significant to me. It's got my wedding ring that's got smashed into an oval so it doesn't fit on my finger anymore. I keep my wedding ring in there. Ironically enough, I have a coach's whistle. There's a few things I just keep in this unique special bowl up on my shelf that like I would go, those are kind of my little treasures. And I was like thinking about where we're at in the Sermon on the Mount and talking about treasures, and I started to think about what makes something a treasure for us. And it normally has to have some kind of like emotional, sometimes financial value, emotional value. It could have spiritual value. There could be a lot of things that we decide that we look at something and we go, this is one of my treasures, or I treasure that. And I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about my life and all the ways that we accumulate these things and how we decide what has value and what doesn't. And Scripture has some really challenging things to say about that, and I want to read to you from Matthew chapter 6. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. This is what Jesus has to say about our treasures. He says, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal." This is a key verse because he says, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." I think about not just physical possessions. I think about the way that I look at the world around me and the things that my heart longs for. Like, I think if you want to really look at how you define what treasures are, they're the things that your heart longs for. Like, okay, if you want to get nerdy with me, and like the Hobbit movie, dragon literally slept and buried himself in his gold because his heart longed for it and he didn't want to lose a single piece of it. Okay, nerd part done. But for me, what are the things that consume my mind? They consume my thought processes. It's something that gets the passion of my life. And I believe that this is what Jesus is talking about, because I think about where you're at, and honestly where I'm at too. Like, I'm not in a place where I can like just gather up tons of physical treasures. But I'll tell you, like, there's things where that my heart kind of longs for. Like, Okay, when I see pictures of people going on really elaborate vacations, and like one of the places that I would love to go someday is Yosemite National Park out in California. I look at the trails, I look at the waterfalls, I think of the trees, like the giant redwoods are just so close to the park. I think of all the things that I've never seen before, and my heart longs for it, and I catch myself. And Parker and I share this is even if I never get to do this at some point in my life here on earth, I am certain that there is some version of heaven, that as I'm experiencing paradise with Christ, that there will be something even better, even if it's not waterfalls and trees, that God has something glorious planned for me when the new heaven and new earth arrive that I will get to experience. So I have to battle this idea of what does my heart long for in creation? And you have to be the same way. It could be as simple as like, my heart like maybe your heart doesn't long for it, but maybe like you're jealous for or longing for a new pair of jeans, a new jacket, a new pair of shoes. Like, man, my heart longs for this, for that. And Jesus is looking at us and going, hey, I want to beg you, don't store up your treasures here on earth where moth and rust can come in and destroy and thieves can break in and steal. Because Jesus knew this. Everything here is temporary, you guys. Everything. Like, think about it. Can you even think of one thing in all of creation that's eternal other than your soul? And Jesus knew this. Jesus knew that, and he also knew that we would struggle with this idea of our hearts longing for creation. Like I could exhaust myself going, man, I want to go to New Zealand. I want to go to South America. I want to visit Africa. Like I want to go to Rome. I want to see the history there. Like I could catch myself, my heart longing for those things. But Jesus is sitting here going, Josh, you need to listen to me. All of this is temporary. It's not permanent. And where he's wanting me to go and where he's wanting you to go is to realize this. We're called to store up our treasures in heaven. When our hearts long for the right things, we'll never go unsatisfied. Because quite honestly, if your things or your activities become the drive of your life, the reality is this, you guys, they will never be able to return to you what you are pouring into them. Like let's pretend that you were really into fixing up classic cars and you exhaust yourself. You spend 1,000 hours on paint, bodywork, engine stuff, and you've got this sweet 1969 yellow Camaro with pinstripes down the middle, and you're just like, you've invested so much in it. And then you turn to get on the Interstate 80 to head down the road and you punch it. And all of a sudden the engine comes apart. It throws a piece through the hood, ruins the paint job. That vehicle could never give you the true return on your investment where you placed your treasure. You would never get the return on that investment. And what Jesus is saying is, look, nothing in creation can hold that worship. Nothing in creation is worth all of that effort, all of that energy. You have got to store up treasure in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal, because he understood that when our heart longs for the things of God, for the things of, we could call it the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, when our hearts long for these things, and our heart longs for God, he is the only thing that won't fail. And I'll be honest with you, students, I don't want to be owned by anything except God. I don't want a house to own me. I don't want a motorcycle to own me. I don't want my goofy little hobbies to own me. I want my Creator to own me. And you probably know what I'm talking about if you've been so committed to something. You could think about your activities. You could think about your schoolwork. You think about your education, your work. You pour into it, you pour into it, you pour into it, you pour into it. What is it truly giving back to you that's eternal? because nothing can do that outside of Christ. And some of you that are sitting there tonight, brand new to this whole concept, you're like, man, I just got invited here to this Lifehouse. What is this guy talking about? I'm telling you, take a minute to genuinely think about those things. How much emotion and energy and sometimes money you're pouring into what you say is most important in your life. And let's ask the question, who owns who here? Is it really your hobby, or does your hobby own you? Because like, we get to decide who owns us. And I'm hoping that you would make a choice, give some consideration to going, I'm going to let God be the one that owns me.